Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
Welcome, one and all, to Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Chandler. The world is full of different people from different places, with different languages, appearances, cultures, stories, loves, and beliefs. We welcome all here as gifts to the many-colored quilt of our congregation. My name is Mary Kate Eckles, and my pronouns are she, her, and I will be your worship associate for today here in the sanctuary and for all of our friends online. Let's give them a little wave at the camera right over there. Hello. Hi. During service today, if you or a little one needs to take a break, we have a flex room right over here on this side of the sanctuary, and there'll be a screen showing the service so you won't miss a thing. After service, if you need to lay your burdens down, our lay pastoral care team will be there. In the sanctuary, it will be Lisa Bonine, who is right there waving her hand. Hello. You can meet her at the front of the sanctuary, and online, it will be Melissa Bush. Feel free to send them a message in the chat to get their attention. Our Caring Neighbors team can also help lend a hand outside of service. Now, we would like to greet any newcomers here today. So if you feel like it, please stand. Please feel free to stay after service for snacks and drinks and conversation, or join our welcome circle over in the back. Now we are going to light our chalice. We kindle this flame, symbol of our faith, for the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of love, which calls us to work for justice. As Surely We Belong to the Universe by Margaret A. Kep. As surely as we belong to the universe, we belong together. We join here to transcend the isolated self, to reconnect. We know ourselves to be at home, here on earth, under the stars, linked with each other.
Good morning. Good morning. Nice to be with you this morning. My name is Katie Seiferth. I'm the Director of Music Ministries here. My pronouns are she, her. And whenever you see me, that means we're going to sing together. So let's go ahead and rise in body and spirit. And this is a song from our gray hymnal, Come Sing a Song with Me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Good morning. I am Marcy Bodrin. I'm your Director of Faith Formation Ministry, and I use the she, her pronouns. Now is our time for all ages. I want to invite any children who would like to come forward. We do have our children's collection chalice up here if anyone has anything to donate to our collection. Make sure you sit where you can see a screen, guys. So come on down. We got a couple more kids. Thank you. So you guys, I have some questions for you before we start our story. Has anybody ever seen a squirrel? We don't have too many squirrels in the valley area, but have you seen squirrels? Have you seen them running around doing all kinds of stuff and you wonder, what are you doing, squirrel? How about little beetles or little bugs? They can be busy little creatures, can't they? They must have something that they're planning on doing. And I wonder why they do those things. Why are they running around and digging? So in this book that we're going to listen to, every animal, every character in the book has an important job. There's a mouse and a rabbit, a squirrel, a fox, and a ground beetle. And they all need each other, and our world needs them. So let's start with Carl and the Meaning of Life by Deborah Friedman. Carl was not a bird. Carl was not a bear or a beaver. Carl is an earthworm. He lived underground, moving, always moving, burrowing and tunneling, digesting dead leaves, feasting and casting. That's an interesting word. Casting is when an earthworm turns the hard dirt into fluffy soil day after day. Why? Asked a field mouse gathering seeds. Why do you do that? Why? Carl didn't know why, but now he needed to find out. So Carl stopped making fluffy soil. I'll be right back, he told the field mouse. He spotted a rabbit. Okay, that's the field mouse. There's the rabbit. Maybe she knew. Why do I do what I do? He asked her. Oh, goodness, dear, she said. I do not know. I do what I do for my babies. Carl did not have any babies. A fox appeared. Carl turned to the fox. Why do I do what I do? He asked. Who do I do it for? For whom? Replied the fox. Corrected his language. Alas, my meal awaits. Bethan, sit down, sweetie. Thank you. I'm here for the hunt, the fox said. Oh, but Carl didn't want to hunt. No, sit down. Thank you. Why are you talking to a fox? Asked a squirrel. Carl was startled. Because the field mouse is waiting and wants to know what I'm here for. The squirrel declared, well, I am here to plant trees. Trees are where I sleep. But Carl did not sleep high in a tree. And that wasn't an answer from the mouse either. So he pushed on and on. Hours turned into days. And eventually, the soil was not fluffy anymore. The ground around Carl was barren and dry. While he continued to search, why, he sighed. But the birds had flown off to find grass and fluff, and the bear had trundled away to look for berries, and soon there was nobody left to talk to. What about me? Carl called. The clouds were silent, so was the air. Oh, I'll never find out, he sniffled. And then Carl heard his sniffle echo, followed by a squeak. I can't find any grubs, a voice called. It was the saddest ground beetle that he had ever seen. Carl peeked under a stone. Nope, there were no grubs there. He poked at the dirt. It was hard, like a rock. Where was his fluffy soil? Suddenly, Carl knew what he needed to do. I'll be right back, he promised. For hours turned into days and weeks into months, and Carl munched and digested and left castings and tunneled and turned that hard dirt back into rich soil. You made my seeds grow, said the mouse. Clover blossomed once again, and the rabbit came back with her kits. The squirrel returned to plant new trees. The fox was lured by the hunt. All of them were able to do what they do. How? Well, why not? Why not ask Carl? Because everything is connected, including Carl and including us. So what we need to think about is, we can't make the soil soft like Carl, but what can we do to help the earth? Do you guys ever think about that? Maybe we can talk about it while we're walking back to our classrooms. We're going to ask the adults to make our tunnel of love, and kids, if you feel like it, you can go under, otherwise we'll meet everybody out on the patio.
Dear friend, let me tell you how I feel. You have given me such treasure, I love you so. Dear friend, let me tell you how I feel. You have given me such treasure, I love you so. Dear friend, let me tell you how I feel. You
Good morning. I'm Reverend Sarah Oglesby-Dunegan. I'm the settled minister here, she, her. It's beautiful to be with you on this sunny Sunday morning that we were somehow missing last week. Easter morning came a week late. I want to invite you into a time of centering, a time of checking in with your own spirit, taking a moment to connect with what's on your mind and in your heart, to think about blessings and things that you're celebrating, small joys and large joys. The moment, if you want to light a candle for one of those, you can. To connect with any grief or hardship or concern. Might be yours, might be your neighbor's, might be your friend, your family's, someone you passed on your way getting here, someone you read about, something that's happening in the world that is causing a little weight on your heart. I wanted to take a minute to share with you a little snapshot of the life of a minister in a congregation. Because in this last 2, 3, 4 weeks, here's just a little snapshot of some of the things that have happened. I did a baby blessing in the back memorial garden behind my office in the morning on a Saturday with 2 new parents who were so excited to speak their commitment to raising their child and to share that with their family and friends. I did a wedding for 2 amazing women and their families who found each other a little later in life and got to watch them celebrating all of the things that come when we get together to celebrate the commitments we make to each other. More commitments, right? And I'm working with 3 families on end-of-life memorials, celebrations of life, and the grief that comes with losing someone. I attended a public service calling for a ceasefire with several other ministers who all offered words on Good Friday about how we might end conflict and war, in Gaza in particular, but in the world in general. I participated in civil disobedience. You'll hear about that later in my sermon. I got arrested this week. And we had all the regular ins and outs of a life in a congregation, right? We celebrated a major holiday week for one of the traditions that many of us are connected to with Easter, and we had 2 major meals together in March. We had a big celebratory lunch that we created together and a big pancake breakfast, which had record numbers at it last week, even though it was raining. There's so many other things that are happening every day in the life of this congregation, and I just want you to know that I'm here for you. If you need to schedule a little time to talk, it might sound like I'm too busy. I'm not. Just send me an email, check in with me. Our pastoral care team is also always able to listen and check in with you and either celebrate or sit with or contemplate whatever it is that's going on in your life. So I offer you these words from Matt Alspa, Breathe With Me. Breathe with me. Breathe with me the breath of life. Inhale, inspire, inspiration. Ruach, Pneuma, Spiritus, the Holy Spirit, the many names for breath. Breathe with me. Know that with each breath we take in molecules of air that were breathed by every person that ever lived. Breathe with me and breathe the breath of Jesus, of Moses, of Muhammad, of the Buddha. Breathe with me and know that we are all interdependent, that the spirit of life flows through us all. Breathe with me as we come together to do the holy work of interconnection and relationship, that our work here may be blessed. Amen. And if you want to mark any of those things in your heart, joys or sorrows, concerns, we invite you, if you like, during our music, to light a candle, to leave us a note in the book, to add water to the living waters of our fountain, or move a stone in sand, or just sit where you're at and breathe. Smile at the person next to you. Notice what is in the room.
Earth, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you. There's a truth beyond our knowledge. There's compassion beyond our pain. There's a spirit that's burning brighter. There's a love to guide our way. Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you. There's a truth beyond our knowledge.
So when I was growing up here in the valley, my family, my parents, my older brother, and my younger brother would often spend a week or a weekend in a rented cabin around Flagstaff. Our favorite cabin was Furno Cabin. It was down a long dirt road, and on one side it was a field with a big watering hole, and the other side was a very steep mountain/hill. And despite going there for many, many, many years, we never climbed it. Until one year, my little brother, the athletic one, got a very bright idea. He said, since we're all young adults at this point, we should climb to the top and drink a beer once we reach there. Me and my older brother are like, yeah, sure, why not? And I will tell you why not. It was miserable. I was truly well and done about halfway up. Utterly cankerous, or how do I pronounce that? I remember saying some unpleasant things to my little brother and sitting down on a huff on a log. I was deliberating, abandoning ship and heading back down. But crucially, my little brother had the beer in his backpack. So very slowly, with a fair amount of resentment, I continued to climb after my brothers, who were very far ahead of me. They were waiting at the top when I got there, and no more recriminations were shared because the view was astonishing. I have been all over the world, and that view was still top tier. It was magic in my own worldly backyard. I tell you about this hike because it was pretty pivotal in my understanding of my relationship with other people and myself. And it came to mind when I was thinking about the two leading thoughts of Reverend Sarah's sermon, competition and collaboration. I've been thinking about them all week and having kind of a tough time with it. I've been in denial about my competitive nature my entire life. Since I was a child, I've stepped away from sports and competitions in almost any form, convincing myself that I didn't care. I was above such things. But really, I didn't want to become involved because I felt I would be too devastated if I lost. Too much of a blow to my ego. Stepping out, however, did me no favors, as losing is the richest ground for learning and growing and winning eventually. Collaboration is also quite difficult, but I believe we all know that. Nothing feels more frustrating than trying to get a large group of people together to agree upon something, even something as simple as we're going to go get lunch. I've always tended towards efficiency, directness, in work and in life, and spent a lot of time wondering why everyone was sitting around talking when we could be deciding, particularly deciding on what I said we should be doing in the first place. This led to a lot of me just doing things on my own because I believed it would be easier. What's lacking in both these mindsets is trust and faith. In stepping out of competitions, I lacked the faith in myself that I could possibly win, or if I lost, that I could recover. In collaboration, I didn't trust whatever group I was in. I didn't have faith that they would or could contribute something, or that together we can contribute something or make something far better than the sum of our parts with the gift of patience. I won't lie and say I don't still struggle with these mindsets, but the hike reminds me what they are missing. I thought that nothing at the top of that hill could be worth the effort of climbing up it. But my little brother did, and he was right. It was better than what I could have ever imagined. And if I only ever do what I can imagine is worth doing, I will miss out on incredible things. There's a humility in collaboration, but I think there can also be a pride in helping a great idea from another person grow and come to pass. And goodness gracious, I did not think I would get up that hill. I had sat down many times, taken many breaks, was completely out of breath, and had a bit of a stitch in my side. But lo and behold, I did. I was certainly not the first to the top. I was not graceful or cool in my ascent. But, very crucially, I was not at the bottom of the hill, explaining to my parents how much I didn't care and how much hiking wasn't really worth anyone's time. Many services ago, Reverend Sarah said, faith is a group activity. And I felt it so deeply that I wrote it down and put it up on my poetry wall next to E.E. Cummings and Mary Oliver. Our faith in particular calls upon us to appreciate the interdependence between all living things. Competition and collaboration are just two of the ways we interact with each other and weave such interdependence. It's a challenging thing to lean into sometimes, a bit scary, really, but the view from the top is amazing.
So I was listening to an NPR story the other day in their series about the science of siblings, and the story caught my attention. It was a story about how in some family systems, siblings are taught that helping each other is its own reward. That sounds sweet, right? They did an experiment where people were given a scenario in which their sibling needed financial help, and they watched what happened in the participants' brain when the participants offered the help needed. And they all offered it. In some participants, however, the reward centers of the brain lit up. And in others, it did not. As they interviewed folks later and talked about how this came to be, I wondered, what part of my brain is engaged when I am helping others? Now, just for a little extra information, I'm an only child. Did I learn that helping others is its own reward? What happens in my brain when I offer help? In this story, they learned that the adults in these families modeled the joy of giving as its own reward through their relationships with each other, as they prioritized conversations and time together and making gatherings special. So as I thought about the concept of interdependence that we're exploring this month, I've been reading and learning from Nicola Rahani's book, The Social Instinct: How Cooperation Shaped the World. And she examines how different species cooperate and how humans have used this cooperative capacity or social instinct to great success, and also where cooperation could be a problem for us. Because the other side of cooperation is competition. We're also not the only species that has a social instinct. Other species teach their young to cooperate in ways that serve a family group or even a group they aren't related to. From meerkats to ants, certain kinds of birds and fish, there are some surprising species that share our social instinct. Now, the building blocks of this social instinct are actually in our cells in our bodies, because our bodies are made up, of course, of many, many layers of cooperation between cells. some of which have specialized tasks and have a greater purpose within those shared tasks and goals. And her examples show us how individual behaviors and collective behaviors can blend in ways that make a collection of individuals into its own organisms, how single-cell organisms became multi-cell organisms, and where the whole collection and the well-being closely defines the behaviors of the individuals. So one example of this was some ant colonies whose highly specialized and structured behaviors are designed not only to protect and nurture the fate of the colony as a whole, but they can also connect to seemingly disparate colonies like all over the planet that have a shared biological line. So the colonies can even act like a single organism. So another example from her research demonstrates how different species can interact to benefit each other even when their interests don't completely align. So she talks about a little fish that she calls the cleaner fish. And these are little fish whose job it is to clean microorganisms from the bodies of other fish. So the cleaning is simultaneously a meal. Sounds like a good deal. The little fish hang out in a particular location, and other fish, clients, if you will, stop by to let themselves be cleaned. And sometimes they even get a little massage as well. The tricky part is that the cleaner fish are also inclined to want to consume little bits of the other fish that they don't want them to consume. They can take a bite instead of just cleaning, apparently. So the snack that they really want, it's a little tastier than what they get when they're just cleaning, isn't really part of the deal. And what keeps them from taking bites from their clients? This is the question, like what stops them? Well, sometimes the fish that's being cleaned will chase them after they've been bit, which, I mean, that seems like an obvious response, right? But this can also impact their business. The client fish can go to another cleaner fish and get them to help them out. So after being chased, the cleaner fish will go a long time without biting other fish, just doing its job. Now, interestingly, sometimes they work in pairs. And so that when one of the fish takes a bite instead of cleaning, the partner fish will chase them in order to kind of reassure the client that they're taking care of the problem. And it's a little chastisement. Because the partner fish is impacted as well when the client fish swims away, right? Just like in our world, if they work together, they'll have more clients and more nutrition, even if it's not the kind of meal that they crave. So even in the world of cleaner fish, cooperation is held together by a network of competing needs and desires. So when we move to looking at our own species, we learn that humans aren't the only species to help strangers, but we do it on a scale that is simply unparalleled in the natural world. From Rouhani's research and the sibling science research, I now understand that interdependent behavior can actually be an adaptation that serves a greater whole that I'm part of, but I don't always think about or even see in totality. That synergy, the increased energy or connection and benefits, gives the collective I'm part of something that it needs. It doesn't just benefit me. And she also shows us that cooperation can have victims. Now, at the cellular level, this is what cancer looks like. Cells that go rogue and interrupt a system in ways that prevent it from functioning the way that it needs to. In groups, this usually looks like an individual or a group of individuals taking resources that are needed for the collective for their own short-term benefit. And the impact on the larger system or collective over time is pretty destructive. And this is how we understand corruption or greed or even discrimination. It's cooperation, but with victims. Now, when I come back to the story about siblings who find out that helping each other is its own reward, I wonder if this is somehow key to how cooperation can save us and save our planet. I mean, if cooperation is just a transaction, a duty we fulfill as opposed to a relationship we honor, it's more easily manipulated in self-interest. if we can experience the joy of connection and the rewards of giving, we have a chance to impact our communities, the people and places we live in life-giving and lasting ways. And this is one of the reasons that I think that belonging in a congregation like this one matters. Because we get more chances to teach and learn with each other that giving can be its own reward. Because as Mary Kate said, faith is a group activity, a cooperative one in which we hope not to have victims. And Rouhani agrees. She says that our imagination allows us to invent new rules for our social interaction, rules that help us to coordinate our actions so that we can avoid conflict and achieve outcomes that are greater than the sum of our parts, just as Mary Kate was saying, and to incentivize cooperation when it might otherwise fail. Our ability to create and change the rules of the game of life is the key factor that's allowed us to scale up cooperation from investments in a few, important relationships to a world where we routinely and instinctively trust and help others, even those we have never met and might never meet again. So we create covenants and we make promises. We strategize and offer each other rewards and reminders that make cooperation an expanding circle of inclusion. We set boundaries and adapt to changing circumstances. So recently, I was asked to participate in a union action to highlight the plight of workers at Sky Harbor who've experienced ongoing racial discrimination in the hiring practices there that prevented many from being considered for the highest paying jobs in the airport concessions and jobs with benefits. Now, a group of us agreed to participate in civil disobedience as a way to gain support for their demands. And while there were no direct benefits to us personally, and some shared risk, like getting arrested, one might say that we gained perhaps a reputational benefit. Maybe in some circles, not a reputational benefit. I wonder if the reward center of my brain lit up when I participated. When we were at the action, I felt some moments of overwhelming emotion. I think some folks use the word verklempt to describe this. I felt teary, and my throat got all constricted. And I felt a moment of deep gratitude and awe. There were people from many different unions representing workers from many different workplaces, and they all came in support of the airport concessions workers. In particular, one young woman was the first to be fired for her union organizing and activism, and there was a sense in the room as we planned our collective action that we were doing this for her, that her story was somehow ours. And I think I heard in Mary Kate's story a similar emotion at the top of the mountain, a sense of being connected to something larger than the self, and a sense of gratitude for the connection. We can create new rules and structures to cooperate because we can communicate in ways that other species can't. And early humans survived by working together. We faced the threats and challenges that nature presented us with by cooperating with each other. And we had to do this because unlike most other primates, we often lived in harsh environments that we couldn't survive in without working together. We were so successful in managing these that the threat shifted, and other humans became our primary threat. We were no longer battling against nature, but against one another. We had to develop the ability to nurture and create our own social support network, to monitor the friendships and alliances of others that we encountered, and to detect and avoid social threat. And when these skills failed us, we risked becoming a danger to ourselves. So cooperation becomes competition, which can lead to many levels of conflict and destruction. Now, you might have noticed that we often adopt beliefs based on who we share those beliefs with. and how they allow us to have a sense of belonging. And Rouhani says that beliefs can function like institutions, giving us some agreed upon rules and norms, and they can act as, I love this, helpful fictions, allowing us to form collective agreements about the way things work and to engineer better solutions to the game of life that we all play. These might be beliefs that create, currency, things that, we agree that this is something we'll use to exchange goods. But it's just a belief that this is something. We made that up, right? Or we might have beliefs about gender roles that govern how we function in a family, or about God or creation, or who should have power. And beliefs can be tags for group membership. We often wear them too, right? We might have a red MAGA cap or a rainbow pride shirt. We have bumper stickers and tattoos, lots of ways of signaling to other people our beliefs and our belonging to the group that shares those beliefs. And it's always been this way for humans. From religious ideas to scientific discoveries, we tend to align ourselves with certain beliefs until they no longer serve us. But even in the face of clear information that challenges our beliefs, sometimes our group identity is stronger than the information that asks us to change our beliefs. Like when we believe things like the election was stolen, or COVID was a hoax, or the earth is flat. The problem and the threat to our well-being is that the social nature of belief prevents us from taking someone else's perspective. And it generates confusion over the nature of true and alternative facts, and it can sow discord and conflict in situations where solidarity is needed. We get stuck in our own sense of belonging and can't see other people outside our circle, their needs and their experiences, or even our shared reality. And then we can't solve problems together that need to be solved. So what kind of world will we choose to create together? Rouhani says that the distribution of power in human societies is a giant tug of war. On one end of the rope is the individual urge to predominate over others, and on the other is the collective interests of everyone else. How will we keep these in balance? This is in some ways about leadership. In egalitarian societies, any authority a leader wields is bound to the context in which it is needed. When societies moved from egalitarian hunter-gatherer societies, the leadership side, and moved into farming societies with bigger groups, the leadership style shifted because there were more resources, and that allowed leaders to keep a larger share of the resources for themselves, which they could share later or not. And although there were overall more resources available to individuals, the resources weren't distributed equally. And people probably went along with this arrangement because it was a choice between having more resources while allowing some to have greater shares of them, or living more equitably but having less. And from this, inequity was born. And it increased, and it gave rise to the kind of leaders that were often hierarchical and cruel. The Caesars and Herods who fathered hundreds of children and enslaved others to maintain their power. Now, of course, we still see this kind of use of power and authority in dictatorial and tyrannical leaders. They still exist, sadly. But how do they stay in power? Rouhani says that that revolution is a collective action problem. It's a problem of cooperation because insurgence entails risks. Each individual faces a temptation to stand outside and let others pay the costs of insurrection while enjoying the benefits that any success might bring. So basically, we're all afraid that if we fight back, we'll lose what little we have altogether, even when we're already losing at a significant rate. This is what labor organizers struggle against all the time. and why management uses tactics to make different groups of workers compete against each other. For our larger shared problems, consider climate change and the impact of global environmental destruction. Collective action in the face of climate change requires commitment from vast numbers of people. And this means that there is a risk. If you make a personal sacrifice by deciding not to fly or not to have another child or to eat a plant-based diet or whatever other thing you've decided to do, there's a reasonable chance that your sacrifice will be for nothing. So we might ask, what is cooperation? Who do we cooperate with and for what reasons? Who are we in competition with? Do we prioritize our people or all people? And essentially this question is about, are you a collectivist focused on the needs of our close friends and family? Or are we operating in groups that are more universalist in nature, that include a wider range of people that we have fewer close ties to? Like, who are we more likely to collaborate with? Now, collectivists don't trust strangers, but tend to have higher levels of corruption, bribery, and nepotism. But they engage in more in-group sharing, because loyalty is more important than following the rules. Now, universalists have less loyalty to family and exist in larger communities, think urban versus rural, and they rely on government to create social structures that protect and care for people. They're less personal and therefore maybe a little less corruptible, but they're also less intimate. Can we have both? We definitely need some aspects of both. In the face of global problems, we need global cooperation. How can we learn to look further into our future and not go for the more immediate advantages that are short-term, benefit small groups of people or individuals, and that threaten our future? We need to learn how to think global and act local, because we are fundamentally interdependent. We have a shared future that is threatened by global environmental collapse. We need to learn how to cooperate at a much larger scale, right? We can, but will we? The ending is up to us, y'all. Our shared future is calling us to learn and teach something new and harder than what we've done before. In essence, we need to teach each other that contributing to the well-being of others is its own reward, and that it will also pay dividends down the road. But first, we need to learn this lesson for ourselves. We need to have some experiences where we practice taking risks for the sake of the greater good, and pay attention to what it feels like in our bodies when we do. To notice if we feel a surge of energy and connection, a feeling of receiving a great gift. May each of us be blessed by the gift that is ours to give, and which is also ours to receive, the gift of our interdependence. Blessed be.
I will raise as may stand a place for you. I will where everything by you is new.
Hello again, everybody. Now is the time for our offering. Our ushers will be passing around baskets, and if you don't have cash, you can use our online portals or online numbers here on the screen. As a relatively new member of this congregation, I was excited to make my pledge and my subsequent donation a few weeks ago. When I signed the book to become an official member, I did so with the confidence because I decided that this faith, and for as long as I live here, this congregation will be my home for the rest of my life. Now, not to hedge bets, but that might be quite a long time. And I would like to be part of a congregation that has a roof over its head, AC, and all the wonderful services this congregation currently provides, like faith formation and our community garden, and all the many opportunities we have to give back through our congregation. So when I gave my pledge, I was very happy because I was thinking about my 60-year-old self, my 70-year-old self, my 80-year-old self, sitting where all of you guys are sitting now, being as fulfilled and in community as I feel right now.
Okay, we're going to do a song while we take the offering, but we'd like to invite you all to sing on the chorus. So we're going to teach it to you, and it goes like this. This is a song that Jenny brought to me this week that we just kind of loved, and we're excited to share it with you. But repeat after me. It goes like this.
Sweet liberty's coming.
You go.
Sweet liberty's coming.
Next part.
I can hear the people singing. I can hear the people singing. Ooh, freedom. Ooh, freedom. We won't let our voice be silenced. We won't let our voice be silent.
So put it together.
Sweet liberty's coming. I can hear the people singing. Ooh, freedom. We won't let our voice be silenced.
Nice. So anytime you hear that chorus, we invite you to sing with us.
Looking for our better angels, calling for our ancestors, and every voice that's gone before me. Help us now. Land of the free built all these prisons. In God we trust, but serve our demons. Give us the strength to change the system. Help us now. The people sing. Sweet liberty's coming. I can hear the people singing. Ooh, freedom. We won't let our voice be silenced. Where'd you learn so much hate? Where'd you feel your body break? Come on, tear the root right out. Resist the hate, persist in love. I know we saw the rainbow sign. Do we need the fire next time? The power's with the people now. I have faith, I have sweet liberty's coming. I can hear the people singing. Ooh, freedom. We won't let our voice be silenced. Sweet liberty's coming. I can hear the people singing. Ooh. We can love one another, but not until I love me. We can set all the people free when our hearts are free. Put your faith in love. 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 We can change the world, but the change starts with me. We can love one another, but not until I love me. Until I love me. We can set all the people free when our hearts are free. Yeah. Put your faith in love. Put your faith in love. Sweet liberty's coming. I can hear the people singing. Ooh, freedom. We won't let our voice be silenced. Sweet liberty's coming. I can hear the people singing. Ooh, freedom. We won't let our voice be silenced. We can change the world, but the change starts in me.
May we recognize and abandon the familiar attitudes and practices that do not serve the whole.
We are who we are, and we have the opportunity to be who we want to be, to create a new inheritance for the future.
May our thoughts, words, and actions in our daily lives assist in dismantling paradigms of oppression and suffering.
May we give thanks for our individual place in time and space, to our families and our relationships that touch and change us.
May we give thanks to the wise teacher who help us remember how to be and the chances to make it so.
Underneath and within these stories and histories is our humanity.
Being human means we are of this earth. We are these waters, we are fire and atmosphere, we are the sun and the moon and the stars.
We are all that we see, and the wisdom is revealed by looking in between.
Please stand in body and spirit and sing with us, "The Tide is Rising." In every song that we choose, Sarah and I, or whoever the song leader is, we choose because of the words in the song. So I invite you to really bring these words in and mean everything we sing together.
The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The land is holy. The storm is raging, and so are we. The storm is raging, and so are we. The storm is raging, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The sun is rising, and so are we. The sun is rising, and so are we. The sun is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be.
As we get ready to leave this place, hopefully stay and talk and have some conversations. If you're new, you can join us in the welcome circle. Otherwise, we hope you'll stay for You the Vote, because we're going to be meeting to talk about what that means. If you don't know, well, it's definitely a practice of cooperation that we hope will change the world. So, join me in extinguishing the chalice with these words. Though we extinguish the chalice, our connection to each other and this community remains. May its light guide us this week as we walk the path of justice, speak words of love, and fill our world with compassion until we meet again. Go in peace. Stay for coffee.
Looking for our better angels, calling for our ancestors and every voice that's come before me. Help us now. Land of the free, built all these prisons. In God we trust, but serve our demons. Give us the strength to change this system. Help us now. Ooh, sweet liberty's coming. I can hear the people singing. Ooh, freedom. We won't let our voice be silenced. Where'd you learn so much hate? Where'd you feel your body break? Come on, tear the root right out. Resist the hate, persist in love. I know we saw the rainbow side. Do we need the fire next time? The power's with the people now. I have faith, I have sweet liberty coming. I can hear the people singing. Ooh, freedom. We won't let our voice be silent. Sweet liberty's coming. I can hear the people singing. Ooh, freedom. We won't let our voice be silent. We can change the world, but the change starts with me. We can love one another, but not until I love me. We can set all the people free when our hearts are free. Put your faith in love. Put your faith in love. We can change the world, but the change starts in me. We can love one another, but not until I love me. We can set all the people free when our hearts are free. Put your faith in love. Put your faith in love. Sweet liberty's coming. I can hear the people singing. Ooh, freedom. We won't let our voice be silent. Sweet liberty's coming. I can hear the people singing. Ooh, freedom. We won't let our voice be silenced. We can change the world, but the change starts